the life of Bill Walton, who passed away this week or over the weekend at the age of 71 after a prolonged battle with cancer. Bill Walton led the UCLA Bruins to two national titles and was the NBA's MVP in 77-78 season and a member of the league's 50th and 75th anniversary teams. And he was a stud in college. He was good in the pros. But Jimmy, after he got done playing basketball, Walton was also an Emmy winning broadcaster. Jimmy, he joined ABC and ESPN in 2002 as a lead analyst and then went on to do college basketball. And he was named one of the top 50 sports broadcasters of all time as part of the American Sports Association in 2009. So, Jimmy, I know you probably have come across Bill Walton or know people that know Bill Walton or know his son. And I want to ask you, Jimmy, first of all, what are your thoughts on his passing? And second of all, was Bill Walton a greater player or broadcaster?
Oh, oh. First of all, great question. First of all, condolences to to the Walton family, to Luke, his son, and the rest of the Walton family. Our prayers and best wishes go out to you all. And but let me say this about Bill. All right, before I also give him his kudos. Me and Bill used to bump heads,
Oh,
and I appreciate Bill because he spoke from his heart, and he criticized me and my Michigan teammates for being arrogant. He thought we were arrogant when really we're cocky, and so that I had a little beef with him years ago. But meeting him and speaking with him, he's a great ambassador for the league,
that's
great
right.
ambassador for the game of basketball. Like you mentioned, winning championships at UCLA and won with the Portland Trail Blazers in 77, 78 on a great team with Maurice Lucas and those guys. So, like, I think that he had a great basketball career, transitioning to broadcasting. I love his broadcasting better as a than him being a player. I think that he could have been even a better player if it wasn't for injury and cutting his
That's
career
right.
short.
That's right.
But we got to see a full evolution of his broadcasting. And so that's why if I had to choose one, I would go with broadcasting because he was very colorful. He had us laughing on broadcast. He came up with things we never heard before. And that's why I appreciate him making that transition. But
Yeah.
again, shout out to the family and blessings and
I'm
prayer.
going to tell you, Jimmy, what I think of Bill Walton. I found him to be the most annoying broadcaster. He is like the NBA and basketball version of Chris Collingsworth.
Oh
Okay.
no, no, no.
I,
Not
but
that
here's,
bad.
first I want to talk about him
Not
as a
that
player. First, I want to talk about him as a player. Look, he was before my generation, but my dad talks about him, right? And I watched a lot of the old stuff, right? And he was a great college basketball player. And I think part of being on these 50 and 75th anniversary teams is because he came out like a Peyton Manning came out, or like a one of these guys that came out so highly thought of, promoted, and expected to be so big, and he really wasn't that great of a pro. He had
bad.
knee injuries. He did go to
Mhm.
the Celtics and the Trailblazers, and he never really had the extended career that people expected him to have. So I think
Mhm.
the potential carried him a long way. But I'm going to tell you one Bill Walton story that I have that I cannot get over. Bill Walton, just like he said, you guys were arrogant. He was always way over the top on stuff. It was like Bill Walton's chemistry was I'm going to say, this is the greatest bottle of water I've ever had. Right? Like that is like everything. So I'm watching a game. I remember it. I had just come down to Dallas. I had moved down to Dallas. It was in 2002. And we were watching, my buddy and I, we were going to go out to the bar and we were watching basketball, doing a little pre-drink back in the day. Don't do any of that anymore, Jimmy. But in the day, I used to have a couple beers before we went out. We were watching a game that was on. And I remember Greg Ostertag. Do you remember
My
Greg
God,
Ostertag, Jimmy?
I played with Greg.
Okay.
Greg was my center when we had real AAU. You know, when there was only one team per city.
Is
Yeah,
he from
me.
is he from
Greg
Dallas?
was my center. Greg is from Dallas. He went to Duncanville.
I did not know that.
Matter of fact, he ended my high school career. They went on to
Really?
win the championship. He beat me my senior year.
Wow.
He's a senior. I'm a
So you
senior.
know, so Greg, so I'm watching this game, and you probably can't see it anywhere. It was just something that I noticed and saw happen to be, and Greg and Greg Ostertag gets the ball and he slams it down, and Bill Walton says, "That was the greatest dunk I've ever seen." And from
From
that
Greg
moment on,
Ostertag. I love Greg. I love you,
from that
Greg.
moment
If
on,
you see this, wherever you at, please reach out to me too, by the way.
we might see him Monday.
Yeah, because
Because I think
he
he
might
does.
be there.
He
Yeah,
is
he might be
part.
at the outing.
I
Hopefully.
think he.
Yeah, we got some
I
people
haven't
coming by.
never seen him there before, but I know he is part of the NBA Retired Players Association in Dallas. I've not seen him,
Yes.
but if he's there, I can share this. You can have him. I can share this story to him. But here's the thing: when Bill Walton said Greg Ostertag had the greatest dunk ever, I'm like, I'm done. I'm never listening to another word
Okay. All
this
right.
guy
I'll
has to
give you
say
that.
again.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
And
Because
Jimmy, I'm gonna
in high
say,
school, in
yeah, go
high
ahead.
school, Greg's nickname that we gave him when we had all the guys come from different areas, from Fort
Yeah,
Worth, from all around the Metroplex in Dallas. It was only 20 guys on the team, so we made two teams. We had an A and a B team, and they were both good. Um, but when we were in practice, we used to call him dunk bait because he was always out of position. He was slow of foot sometimes. He would only block shots if you really put it in his face. So if you were to beat him to the rim or get to your spot, you will get him. So we used to call him dunk bait. So for Bill Walton to say Greg Ostertag had the greatest dunk of all time, suspect.
my point
We
is,
calling cap on that.